Hi, so good evening, everyone. Welcome to this session and welcome to National Law Training Institute (NLTI). You must know me by now. I am Anish, the founder of National Law Training Institute, also a CLAT ranker, got All India rank 17 in CLAT 2021. Today we have a special guest with us, Ashutosh, who got an All India rank of 10 in recently conducted CLAT 2024. So, Ashutosh, let's begin this session with a little bit of introduction from your end. Tell us about your class 12, where you are from, which coaching did you take, how was your CAT prep journey, what was your reaction when the results came out, just like icebreaker something.
Yeah, thank you so much for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well and fine. I am Ashutosh. I'm from Bhubaneswar, Odisha. I've just gotten over with my 12th boards, and now I'm looking forward to attending the National Law School of India, University, Bangalore. Also, I'm in the science stream. I was in the PCM stream. So CLAT was an unconventional choice in that manner for me. But it was something that I discovered during my class 10th, and I grew really fond of that idea of going into the field of law because I'm interested in international relations, the legal field in such. I find it really dynamic and interesting. So that is how I took it up in spite of going into PCM in my 11th and 12th. So I did my schooling in Bhubaneswar, Odisha here, and I actually did not join any coaching formally at the start of my class 11th. I only opted for the purchase of a mock test series from Career Launcher, and I used to go every Sunday to their center to appear the mock tests initially. And later on, I did feel like I was perhaps lagging behind others because I did not exactly have a lot of companions, like study buddies around me who were interested in CLAT, because in my school, everyone else was a science student or a commerce student. So I did not have any such of community of CLAT. So I felt a little bit isolated, and then I was able to clear an entrance exam of one of the coachings, and I got offered their books and study materials, classes, and mock tests for free. So that was a really great boost to my preparation. So yeah, I would say that anyone who has not even they have not chosen any such formal coaching for classes as well, I think CLAT is an exam that has been made accessible for them as well, because in spite of being in a different stream, I could find it possible to achieve the rank that I did. So yeah.
Right. So, when did you decide that you want to do CLAT? Like you took science in 11, so I'm assuming your parents and you wanted to pursue IIT JEE or NEET. So when did you decide ultimately that you do not want to go towards that side, but instead take CLAT?
Since my childhood, like I would say since class 7th, I was attending FitG, and I was a really good student in maths and science. So everyone sort of assumed that I would eventually opt for IIT JEE classes. But when I reached class 8th or 9th, I developed a keen interest in reading newspapers every day. Initially, I would read the Odia ones. I'm from Odisha. And then I switched to reading the Hindu, and I found it really interesting. I loved the coverage of current affairs around me, and I was passionate about the social world more than the world of engineering or sitting at a desk job from 9 to 5. And the idea of being a software engineer did not appeal to me initially. So I started searching for fields that I could explore because I was not exactly sure what the humanities field entailed. And I found law to be a lucrative career option in the field of humanities. And I discovered the exam of CLAT, ironically, from one of my friends who has now opted for IIT JEE, and she appeared JMains. But she was the one who suggested me that there's this exam. She talked all about how NLS was being called the Harvard of the East. And I really grew passionate about this field. I went through the course that was offered, the study materials, and the sections that were present in CLAT. And I decided after my class 10th exams, although I'd already enrolled in the science stream in 11th, because of a sense of continuity and going with the flow, but I still decided that no, I was going to opt for appearing this exam, and let's see how it will go.
How did your parents react to this? Like, did it come as a shock to them that our son is not doing engineering anymore and instead going for law?
They always knew that I would find myself eventually in this field. Like, for example, they assumed that perhaps I would go for UPSC exam later on. And I still might do that because I'm interested in diplomacy and Indian foreign services. But this pivot from first going towards IIT, then achieving UPSC maybe later on, to just going off the stream that I had been associated with, definitely was a bit of a surprise to them. But I scored really well in my class 10th exams. So they were like, okay, jo bhi ho, he knows what to do with his life, and perhaps he will find his own path and he will excel at whatever he does. So in that way, I was fortunate enough to have parents who trusted me.
Right. Thank you so much for that introduction about yourself and telling everyone here who you are, where you are from, and what brought you into this profession. So we'll not keep the kids waiting, and let's address the elephant in the room. So the question that we are trying to resolve today and the doubts that we'll be taking up pertain to this particular question: whether CLAT can be cleared in 7 months, or whether 7 months are sufficient for CLAT. So what is your take on this? I think you did not take any coaching, so what kept you motivated towards your goal of cracking CLAT, and what was the ultimate push, and when did you get this ultimate push that CLAT to clear karna hi hai? Like for it, in my case, it was the last 3 4 5 months in which I gave around 70 80 mocks, and that was my ultimate push. And that is why I tell people that 7 months are more than sufficient for CLAT. But that is a long back. CLAT 2021 pattern has changed. People don't think that I'm credible enough anymore. So that is why you're here today. Tell us what you think about this. Are 7 months enough for CLAT?
Definitely, I would agree that 7 months is more than enough to clear an exam like CLAT. I agree with this opinion because of the fact that this is not an entrance exam that tests your knowledge as much as it does your practice level and your proficiency in these sections. So unlike JEE Mains or NEET, who test a lot of in-depth knowledge about the subjects like physics, chemistry, biology, CLAT does not really have any fixed course. So you do not have to cover a set amount of content before you are eligible to even appear a mock. You can start off by appearing a mock, even though you may perform poorly because of lack of familiarity with the question pattern. But it's definitely sufficient for anyone to start from scratch, but it perhaps might take a bit of effort on their end. So the earlier you start, the easier the path becomes. But it does not mean that you cannot achieve your goals, because as you said, everyone kind of finds that ultimate push or the boost to their preparation in the last 4 or 5 months of that journey. So I still distinctly remember watching vlogs about NLSIU a year ago, and I was thinking like, wo ho ki na at least NUJS ya Nalsar ho jaye, wo bhi chalega. And then as I progressed along and as my mock scores increased, I grew increasingly confident of my ability, of the realistic possibility that I could clear CLAT and get into NLS. So that kept me motivated towards the end, because I was like, like I have to reach the end goal, the best goal. So I tried for the best, and I succeeded, fortunately.
Right. Ashutosh, you mentioned a very important point that CLAT does not test knowledge, but it tests your proficiency in primarily English language. So a lot of people, like 70,000 people appear for CLAT. Majority of them either do not belong to English medium or do not have a very strong hold over English language. And these people ask me, भैया मुझे English नहीं आ रही है, मुझे नहीं समझ आते passages. I go through the entire passage, but मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा है. How will I even attempt a question or think about attempting a question and reaching the correct answer when I'm not even able to comprehend what the passage is saying? So I'm not sure if you face this problem, but if you faced, and if people are facing this problem that they're not able to comprehend in passages because of not a very good hold over English language, what should they do?
So I had a really deep love for literature and English since my childhood. I remember finishing off like 200 novels in the COVID-19 lockdown when I was in my class 9th or 10th. And perhaps the reading speed stayed with me, and that skill definitely helped me later on in my CLAT preparation. But anyone who is unnerved or is apprehensive about the fact that their English might drag them behind in this preparation can, I think, overcome that fear and get on with it by initially opting for some easy level of passages. For example, instead of diving straight into really high level of difficulty questions, you can pick up an English textbook of class 11th or 12th, go through the stories. You should really enjoy the process of reading and learning, because that is a skill that you are anyways going to have when you are later on in your law school. So developing a habit of loving to learn and read English is a must for any person hoping to clear CLAT. So even though someone feels like they have not there yet at that level, I think it is plausible enough that they can reach that level by going through some novels. Perhaps they can pick up any genre of book that they find interesting, and eventually they will have to drag their level to exploring all the different types of diverse materials that are out there, because CLAT's passages range from simple stories of literature or to complicated political issues. So in that angle, we have our newspapers, which really help. Initially, when I was in class 7 or 8, I did not understand any line written in the depth in the newspapers of English newspapers. I used to wonder how people enjoyed reading newspapers. But eventually, I went from just touching upon the headlines to diving deep into the issues, because those issues really appealed to me. So I think enjoying the process is required for you to like it and then be able to practice it later on. I also recommend anyone to go through the website Aeon. Like it has tough essays. I would not disagree. I initially did not understand much of it, but even though you don't comprehend the whole passage, you need to ensure that you're getting the sense of what the author is talking about, the general tone of the author, what you can decipher, what their opinion might be, because your questions in the based upon the passage are rarely about some direct issue of it. So they usually ask about the author's conclusion, opinion, tone, and so on and such things. I don't think that it requires a very vast knowledge of English. And if you are impressive enough in your logical reasoning skills, in your ability to understand what the overall tone is, I think the options will help you in the end.
Right. Ashutosh, I agree with you that you need to start first before complaining that you're not able to comprehend. But you know that taking the first step is a very big problem for many, including me, because as you said, you were an avid reader. But I was complete opposite. I did not read even a single book before starting my CLAT preparation. I was never interested in reading, or I was scared of reading. I don't know, but I never read a book. So there are people like me who, like, if they read the Hindu editorial, or if they take up any editorial for that matter, they are daunted by the fact that they're not able to comprehend. What do you think is the solution for this? Any amateur beginner level books that you might suggest aspirants with which they can start their reading trajectory? Or any websites like Aeon? Even I relied upon Aeon during my CLAT prep, but I think Aeon is something that um, you can rely upon to get that extra push in English language, but it cannot be a starter. Like, you go to Aeon and you build your reading comprehension skills from there. Any other sources that you can suggest students, be it a book, be it a novel, be it a newspaper, be it a source? What do you think about that?
I think familiarity with the English language is the first step that you need to build upon it later on. So even though novels as such do not have much to do with CLAT, I think if you like a book, like for example, you pick up any young adult novel, for example, that would feel like wasting time now, because obviously there's a fixed period of time that you have to complete your prep in. But every day, if you devote some time period to inculcating this habit, perhaps you can start. I just read the book Atomic Habits, and I would suggest it to anyone who can read it, because it is a really wonderful book about how to build such habits. So these self-help books are the ones which are not very difficult to understand, and such books will help induce a sense of responsibility in yourself, that once you have decided to work towards a goal, you need to keep yourself motivated. So it talks about how tiny habits and steps can build up and help you in the end in a big proportion. So every day you can start off by just reading 5 minutes of a book, and eventually you will come to like it, and there will be a sense of continuity, and you'll be like, okay, I need to continue this. You'll be excited to discover what comes next. And as I said earlier, you can pick up your textbooks even from English class, lower classes, perhaps in class 9th, 10th, and just go through the stories, the short stories. And later on, I would highly suggest that you read your newspapers, perhaps not from the first to the last, but go through the headlines, because you will keep in touch with the world and you will start enjoying the process of learning about news around current affairs happening around you. So apart from that, I think a lot of people go for Word Power Made Easy for their vocabulary. I started it off, but it was really a big book, and I was like, I can't get through this. I don't find it really interesting. But perhaps it can benefit some people to get that first initial push towards learning about words, becoming curious, and having this sense of wanting to know more and learn more.
Right. I think that would help a lot of aspirants who are listening to this session and might want something to start their English comprehension building trajectory with. Coming to the next point, Ashutosh, so is there any ideal timetable or a schedule that one aspirant should follow? Like, we're not talking about a timetable in the form of 5 to 6 a.m. I'll wake up, I'll exercise at 7 o'clock, I'll bathe, and then 8 o'clock I'll have breakfast, and then I'll go to study, and then I'll take a break. Not in this form, but are there any do's and don'ts that should be incorporated in a CLAT aspirant's ideal schedule? What targets did you keep during your CLAT prep, and what targets a CLAT aspirant should keep, so that there is a comprehensive preparation? Like, you do not just focus on one subject by leaving out another, but an ideal comprehensive strategy that one should follow for the next 7 months.
I found the idea of making timetables not very appealing to me, because I cannot stick to schedules as a person. So even though there's a general opinion and of course a concurrence that having timetables ensures that you stick to it and then you are able to build on your goals, I found it hard for myself, because I would have really different days. Like, I had school on most days, which taught subjects that were not at all related to CLAT, and I had to manage that with my studies here. So I was lucky enough that I did not need tuition for the school subjects, even though they were PCM subjects. I managed to do it on my own. So I had time on my hand, and as I had said earlier, I did not join any coaching classes. So I definitely made a good use of my time. And to ensure this comprehensive preparation, a lot of students get scared of 1 or 2 sections, and they will usually ignore it, thinking of that, well, we can do it later on, and putting it off for future preparation. But I would suggest that the sections that you find the toughest, you should be going for them and analyzing your mistakes there, your strengths and weaknesses there from the start. So for your schedule, just set daily targets for yourself. That, for example, I decided that I would solve one passage from English, legal reasoning, logical reasoning, quantitative aptitude, and current affairs in a specific order. I usually chose first English, then logical reasoning, then GK or current affairs, and then I'll go for legal and quantitative aptitudes. So I did these 5 sections, not as a mock test, but I would do sort of as a sectional test. So I had a few books, and then I would go from one passage. I'll record the time that I took to solve that one passage of English. I would also check my answers with the answers and analyze that where I went wrong from the explanations, and then I would head on to the next section. So you must stick to this minimum level of preparation every day, that you are able to complete one passage of each section at least in a sequence, or whatever order you feel comfortable with. And you should ensure that you are able to understand how much time you're taking, checking your time management, apart from of course scoring yourself and analyzing where your mistakes were. Apart from this, the minimum other level of preparation are reading your newspaper daily, first thing you wake up in the morning. Once you develop that habit, it comes naturally to you. Even now, I read the Hindu newspaper. And also, people who are finding it difficult must understand that people who have cleared CLAT like me also find some editorials difficult. For example, today there was one about RBI and some rules about aggregators. The financial and the economic jargon and those terminologies can come across as daunting to anyone who is reading it. And you may not understand it fully, but as I said, you need to make a sense of whatever you get into your hand and try to make your best out of it. Apart from newspaper and the minimum level of preparation for each of these sections, you can go for some specific books. Like, for example, when I did not have any coaching material with me, I used to go for Verbal Ability and Reading Comprehension by Arun Sharma. It is actually a book designed for CAT students, and it has tougher questions, definitely, but it has its group categories, such as like level of difficulty 1, 2, and 3, and so on. Apart from this, M.K. Pandey's Analytical Reasoning, it starts off really basic. It does not push you into the world of passages straight on. It starts off like statements, assumptions, conclusions. They are short ones, and you will not find it very challenging for yourself. You may get a lot of questions wrong. I did as well, but that's the process, right? For legal reasoning, I used to read those passages from the internet or wherever I found them. For example, I would go to PRS, it is a legislative research website, and I would read those laws that the government passed. I did not understand a lot of it, but I wanted to make myself familiar with those terms. Like, for example, this you should start this from the beginning, that you're not really embarrassed about not understanding anything from legal passage, or you're afraid of the terms, because you have to learn them going ahead. So you can start familiarization with those terms, the legal terms. Apart from that, quantitative aptitude, if you are lagging in it, or if you find that it is challenging for you, then you should go for solving more caselets apart from the one that I had talked about. So you can just keep on solving, because the point in maths is that most of the students understand the basics of maths, for example, like cost and profit or like percentages. But the problem comes in solving the questions faster and maintaining the speed and accuracy. So if you're lagging in that, you need to focus on your weaker sections every day. So throughout the week, devote the days according to your sections. You cannot do everything every day. So after solving 5 passages from one section and the newspaper, you can go pick up 1 or 2 more sections and go for solving them, or like understanding them, as I said, for legal familiarization with the words, for quantitative aptitude, practicing the caselets, and distribute the days in a week according to that, and just ensure that you're finishing and fulfilling those goals, because number of hours studied does not really matter if you're not able to make productive use of the time.
Right. There's a question in the chat box. Would you recommend doing all the sections in a day, or should we do 2 to 3 sections a day to not get overstimulated? What is your take on this?
I did 1 passage of each section, so that was it. And I did not do, of course, I later on, when you are like 2 or 3 months near the exam, you have to appear mocks every day almost. I did it every day. So the mock test takes up 2 hours of your day, and it also needs a little bit of more analysis, like a half an hour maybe. So that takes up a significant chunk of your time, apart from the newspaper reading as well. So then you have some time left to devote to the section that you felt that you did bad in. For example, your performance was weaker relative to the other sections, and you can stick to that, because there's no need to overwhelm yourself with trying to do everything at once. And take it at your pace, because there is a lot of time left now. It's like 7-8 months. So you can definitely choose 1 or 2 sections apart from these minimum ones.
So if I heard you correctly, you said when you started giving 1 mock daily, then you did not take up 1 passage of every section, or did you follow this same routine even then when you were giving 1 mock?
I actually reduced my school's attendance significantly then, so I had a lot of extra time then as well. So I did it.
Right. I had a question regarding this, not just me, but a lot of aspirants, including my sister, who will be appearing for CLAT this year. So she also complains, ki, bro, I come back from school around 3 o'clock. Then I spend like 1 hour, 1.5 hour reading the Hindu. Then I'm barely left with any time to cover each of the sections. I also have to make GK notes. I also have to attend classes of my coaching institute. So how should they balance their CLAT with their class 12 or class 11?
I followed a strategy where I would prioritize CLAT studies over schools for most of the time, except the periods when we had unit tests in our schools, or the half yearly and the terminal exams. So for students in 12th who are entering now, they have the added pressure of boards. But since the CLAT exam has been decided to be held in the month of December, I think it was really beneficial for me, because I did not pay much attention to school studies. After a certain point in like October or so, I did not appear the school's pre-boards that they conducted. I appeared the later Sahodaya pre-boards, which were held in January. But I did not appear the school pre-boards. I focused on this CLAT prep because I knew that this was the one that decided my future. And even though there was this pressure and the stigma that I was supposed to be a topper and I had to keep up that image perhaps, or like it's your self-ego as well. You would want to perform well in your school exam as well. But it is a process of prioritizing the things that during that time of need. So till December, I completely devoted my time for CLAT. And after that, you can prioritize your school studies because you have like 2 or 3 months before your board exams. So as for the daily day-to-day basis, after you return from school, I would understand the stress that you have gone through, and you will definitely want to rest a bit. So if you have not read the newspaper, I suggest reading the newspaper in the mornings. I used to wake up. Our school was started at 7 or 7:30ish, so I would wake up at 6 and I would read the newspaper. Obviously, it took a lot of time initially, but then I cut it down to 30 to 40 minutes, because you would realize that you don't have to read each and every page of the newspaper, and you'd understand which sections of the newspaper are important enough. So I used to cover my newspaper reading and read a few more articles, maybe exercise a bit, and then go off to school. And after returning from school, you can rest for a bit after having lunch, because you need that energy for your classes, for your mock tests, and so on. So if you have school days throughout the week, you can opt for mock tests only on your Sundays. I did that most of the time, and only during the later sections of the preparation did I go for everyday mock tests. You do not have to attempt mock tests every day, and perhaps you would benefit from appearing just sectional tests, like one passage of each section, so that you are sticking to the familiarity, and you are not letting go of the touch of any of the particular subjects. So yeah, balancing is a tricky task, but ensure that you are not going to school more than 5 days a week, 3 days or 4 days a week. I used to do that, and perhaps your teachers would maybe accommodate your aspirations with your school studies, because I had science, so it was tougher for me to keep up with the school pace of learning. So if you have humanities, that would be a lot better, because legal studies, economics are things that you would need going ahead in law school. Sociology, history, political science, everything is sort of related to your law. So I would say that those who are even afraid of English can go and pick up the humanities textbooks of class 11th and 12th, and perhaps if you would benefit from them. I was reading them a month ago, because I had nothing else to do after my boards were over, and I found the history, political science, sociology textbooks, they were very interesting, and a lot of issues that they discussed were the ones that were also being asked in CLAT exam. So you can benefit from that as well.
Right. On a lighter note, aspirants, these are the CLAT toppers of today, who are done with their boards but still take up another subject's books just to read for fun. I think you should also develop this habit, reading not for just like improving your scores, but reading for fun and reading because you enjoy it. Only then you'll be able to ultimately enjoy your CLAT preparation journey, because if you look back, no CLAT topper will say that their journey was very overwhelming. Of course, there will be ups and downs, but nobody will have any complaints or regrets about their CLAT preparation journey, because those who clear enjoyed the process, not just looked at the end result of that process. Also, guys, we are taking a note of all your questions in the chat box. We'll come to GK, we'll come to score stagnancy, and we'll also come to accuracy and frequency of mocks. So don't worry. There's one legit question in the chat box. How did you maintain 75% attendance? I think he already clarified that his teachers were very accommodative, and they were, I think,
sort of
lenient
like
towards
70% attendance, like almost like that. And it does not really matter. They will threaten you that they would not provide you admit cards or something like that. But a child who never came to school throughout the year also got their admit card and appeared for the board exams.
Also, guys, you can cover up your attendance after December. Like if CLAT takes place in like 10th of December or 15th of December, you'll have two months, I think, to cover up your attendance and make up for it. So don't worry about attendance for now. Just worry about your CLAT preparation. Coming to Ashutosh, GK, because GK is one subject that people fear, and because GK being so unpredictable given the last few years as well, sometimes GK is everything is in the passage, sometimes it's not in the passage, sometimes it's just unpredictable that something of that sort would come. How did you tackle GK? How did you prepare for GK? Because you were also not enrolled in coaching for a better half of your preparation, so there was no teacher per se to make notes for you or tell you all the stuff so that you can jot it down. How did you go about your GK preparation then?
GK was the reason my mock scores were very low starting off in like class 11th. When I used to appear mocks, I did not get better marks because of the fact that I was not aware of a lot of issues that were being asked in the paper. It would ask about some abstract scheme of the union government, which you may have never even thought of or heard of. And it instilled a sense of fear in me that perhaps I would not do as well in GK compared to other sections, which I was doing well in. So I was kind of late to the preparation of GK. I only started making my own notes perhaps around June or July. I had like 6 months left to cover. Actually, the GK portion that comes in the CLAT exam is mostly of the 6 months or 7 months prior. Perhaps to stay on the safer side, you can go for 1 year of the reading. But if you have the habit of making your own notes from the onset, so that would really help you, because it does not put extra pressure on you to cover up during the latter months. For example, when I started making my own note sheets, for example, I would categorize them based on their genre. I would make one about polity, and, like, for example, anything that was happening in the Indian political arena, for example, the Central Vista Redevelopment Project or the presidential election and so on. I would make one genre for that. Another one would be for international affairs, because a lot of things happen on the international level, the deals, US, American, and then, like, a lot of things that happen, like treaties, the conventions that are being signed and so on. That is one category for me. Another one was perhaps climate change, environment, and everything related to that. And the other one was for ALIT, actually, for like one-liners of each month, because one-liners are not that significant in CLAT, but they may relate some topic to one of those one-liners and ask them from it. So one-liners for each month, like I had a sheet of January, February, March, and so on till December. You can accommodate one-liners in one page each, A4 size paper. And then apart from that, sports, which was not really important, but I did not want to leave any thing out. I also had one for economic things, like the decision of the Supreme Court that came in for the demonetization was legal and all. So if you categorize your GK and current affairs into 5 or 6 sections, based on your comfort, if you can think that you are able to group them better in your mind, that would simplify your process significantly, and you would no longer find the vast quantity or the amount of issues overwhelming. So start making your own notes. I thought that I would not need to make my own notes, and certainly a lot of people don't end up making it. Like one of my friends who got here 44, he said he never made his own notes and would go through the monthly compendiums. For example, NLTI has its MIT and the GK reviews, and so you can really benefit from having such sources. But apart from such sources, you need to ensure preparation on your part as well by making your own issues. For example, the Chandrayaan mission that occurred, you may find a fixed amount of information in these monthly compendiums or weekly ones. But then apart from that, every day when you're reading the newspaper, you will find the Prime Minister named the landing spot of the rover or lander, something or something. You will have information that you will need to keep adding into your section. So just make one page for each topic, because you would understand which topic is important, which is not. Chandrayaan, I knew that it was a really significant issue, so I had a big A4 size paper, front and back, and I had covered it entirely by the end when we came to December. Because you keep having these feeder informations and CLAT, although this year that didn't happen, it was really easy and weird. But the section usually asks things related to that, going to the issue. For example, Chandrayaan, you will have questions like when was ISRO established or something like that, going into the history. So you would need to have this sense of curiosity for GK. You may go to Wikipedia and learn as much as you can. You don't have to mug up every information, but just going through those dates and going through the personality names, it may help you. You can maybe guess one of 2 options, because GK is something that you can never guarantee 100% accuracy in. So make your own notes, go through monthly compendiums or weekly ones, magazines, whatever you like. Read the newspaper every day, keep adding information to the specific topics that you find important, and by the end, during the CLAT exam, you will have almost like 250 to 300 important topics with you.
Right. So just to summarize what Ashutosh said, for GK preparation, I think he said that newspapers are indispensable. You need to continue reading newspapers. Secondly, he said that you can consider the idea of bifurcating your notes into 5 to 6 sections, like political science, which will include all your political news or policy related news. Then it will be economic, then it will be international relations. Or you can consider bifurcating this so that it's easier for you to revise them when you are reaching the ultimate end of your CLAT preparation, and also for you to create mind maps that, oh, I read this in that news, so the answer might be related to that. That will also help. I think that would be a side benefit for that. So Ashutosh, if I heard you correctly, you made pen paper based notes, right? Not online.
Pen paper. I started off documents like Word document, but I realized it did not have a lot of flexibility, and you do not have a sense of touch with the things that you make in your laptop. I used to type everything down, and then I didn't really open it a lot. When you have things in your hand and you are looking at them every day, you have a sense of responsibility to go for those pages. Also, GK Today is a good source. Like websites like GK Today and Drishti IS, initially I depended on them for some topics, learning about them, or coming to know about new things. And you can go, if you have some free time, you can go for YouTube and just look at some monthly recap, because there are a lot of things for IS kids. So IS kids use those
Yeah.
videos for preparation, and you can have them for an overall overview, so that you ensure that you have not missed out any significant topic.
Right. Ashutosh, a core question that troubles a lot of students. So you said ultimately it boils down to figuring out important topics and leaving out the non-important ones. That filter is very important. But what students complain is कि जो मैं पढ़ता हूँ वो मॉक्स में नहीं आता है, और जो मैं नहीं पढ़ता हूँ कि ये तो important नहीं है, ये तो बेकार topic है. That topic comes in the mocks. So what is the solution for that? Like ultimately, I know it's just practice that you will ultimately figure out that this topic is important for CLAT and this is just very irrelevant. But how do we reach that level? Like what does it take to reach that level of figuring out correctly what is coming or not?
See, the task of the person who sets the mock test questions is to make questions hard, perhaps relatively harder compared to what comes in the CLAT exam. So they will intentionally dig into topics that you may not have heard of, and they may try to intimidate you in that sense. But you can use that to your advantage, because never let those mock tests go to waste. After going through a mock test exam, I used to sit down with a question paper and mark the passages which were completely new to me. Like, for example, some topic that I had not come across in my newspaper reading or anywhere else, because a lot of times newspapers will not be able to cover every important issue that is occurring. So you will benefit from appearing mock tests also, because you are learning from them. You will come across new issues. You will go and research yourself through websites, like what the topic is really about, and add your own information to your own notes. Apart from that, that sense of disappointment that comes that whatever you studied had not come in the mock test, it's genuine, and it will continue perhaps till your CLAT exam. But remember that CLAT will in the end have only like 5 or 6 passages of GK. So they are not going to go for very irrelevant topics, and they'll try to find some paragraphs that where you can make a lot of questions. So I think it is a sense of intuition to know that which topics will have questions associated with them. For example, a passage related climate change, you will understand, like it may ask about Kyoto Protocol, Paris Agreement, anything related to it, COP 28, 29, whatever happens. And for example, elections are happening this year. So you understand these big issues, and you research more and more information on your own, and you need to set aside that sense of disappointment that it did not come in the mock test, because it will ultimately help you in your final exam which you're aiming for.
Right. On a lighter note, just to address everyone who's present here but not enrolled with NLTI, I think this is why a mentor is important, who you can rely upon during your CLAT preparation. People like Ashutosh, me, have been through the CLAT preparation journey. We know exactly where you are, what you are going through right now, what you must be facing, your ups and downs. During my CLAT prep also, I craved someone who could listen to me when I was ranting, or who could advise me, okay, सब चलता है, normal है. अगर एक मॉक में 80 आया, दूसरे में 60 आया, it's completely normal, nothing to fret about. But I definitely, obviously lacked it because there was no NLTI back then. So this is why NLTI was started to create this, to address this specific gap of lack of mentorship, that there is no particular person who you can look after or look up to during your CLAT preparation journey, who knows the inside out of the exam. Ashutosh, so let's come to CR, because CR is also something that people are really afraid of. Let's start with the very basic question. Is CR theory important? Like, is it important to go through assumption, negation, technique, or what is the difference between conclusion and inference? How do we strengthen a statement? How do we weaken a statement? Or is it more important that you go directly on practicing? Because ultimately, when you practice, you'll come across all these types. And when you analyze mocks, you'll ultimately learn the theory as well. But this is something that is a lot of students are in dilemma regarding whether to study theory or whether to practice.
It's definitely a combination of both. I started off trying logical reasoning questions, the passages, because I'm an impatient person. I was like, okay, let's go directly to the questions and see what happens. But a lot of times I found that what my logic or the sense of reasoning was behind a question, it was not right. And a lot of times I would feel frustrated that, yeah, I thought of this as the right answer. How is the answer some other option? But you will understand those technicalities if you pick up these basics of argument, assumptions, inferences, conclusions, and so on. So I used to go for M.K. Pandey's analytical reasoning book. And even though you will feel that it's not that relevant to CLAT anymore, because CLAT used to be non-reading comprehension based, but now it's completely reading comprehension based, it will help you identify the mistakes or flaws in your strategy. Like it will help you understand how the question setter is making options that are there to sidetrack you. For example, either one option is too broad, something is too extreme, something is not actually related to the topic that is being cited. A lot of times you will be able to comprehend what the author is actually saying, and you will confuse it with what your personal opinions are. So all these mistakes that you might commit while attempting critical reasoning questions are some things that you can clarify some of these basics. I used to have a book of GMAT Bible. GMAT has tougher questions than CLAT for this logical reasoning section, but I enjoyed solving them. I understood the question stems, like strengthening, weakening, parallel reasoning, assumptions, which of these will the author support, which of these will the author disagree with. And all these question stems are things that you get familiar with the more you practice. So the practice needs to include both your basics, which you can devote for a few like for half an hour or 1 hour every day to go through one question stem particular. For example, main idea reasoning or something like that. You will pick up one stem and solve and search for questions like that, and try to ensure that you have mastery over that concept, and then move on to the next concept the other day. Meanwhile, continue giving mocks, because there is no problem in appearing for mocks and analyzing your mistakes.
Right. Ashutosh, did you practice CR on Khan Academy website?
I had not.
Okay, so this is for the information of all this. There is this brilliant website called Khan Academy. You can go there and practice CR questions. It's very nice. Like specifically, when you go on Khan Academy, you need to select the option of LSAT. So when you click on LSAT, you get automatically enrolled. It's completely free of cost. They offer some brilliant questions, very like high level of difficulty, and the reasoning that they provide is also very up to the mark. And you'll completely understand why did you choose the wrong option, or why did you choose the correct answer after going through the analysis and the reasoning explanation provided by them. So if you haven't tried already, aspirants, you can go khanacademy.org, I think, and practice CR from there. Ashutosh, now coming to important question, like just give one word answer. What was your lowest mock score and when was it?
I think it was around like 70s or 75 or 76. So that our CLAT full mark used to be 150, and then it was reduced to 120. So out of 120, I would say my lowest mock scores were 71 or 72 or something like that. Out of 150, it was in the range of 80s or so. When you're starting off, obviously you will find your scores really low, but I'm talking about when I had already done some serious preparation and then I attempted. So this was the lowest.
Right. Ashutosh, you must have also hit a point where your mock scores were just stagnant, like 80s or 80 to 85, 85 to 90, and you needed that ultimate push to, let's say, cross 100. What did you do then? Obviously, you will feel demotivated or you will feel disheartened. That is obvious. And that is a very common feeling across aspirants. But what did you do to overcome that feeling and that stage where you felt nothing is going right, your mocks are stagnant, and you are not able to cross that threshold of 100?
More than stagnation, I think everyone will face the problem of fluctuation a lot. I would do really well in one mock test and would be elated about my rank, all India rank, and then the next mock test it would really take a hit, and I would be surprised that why did I commit so many mistakes this time. So I think you have to take it upon a case-to-case basis. You pick up the question paper that you got a lot of questions wrong in, and you go through the questions, reasoning that you had applied. Also, you need to do this instantly, like you will forget things later on. So after you appear a mock, and if you have faced this problem of stagnation, your marks are not improving, you need to really critically analyze yourself, that which sections am I lagging in. A lot of students will have this problem that they are not able to complete all the sections in the given amount of time. So timing is something that's really important in exams like that, because it has a lot of passages, and the OMR bubbling is also going to take time. So I remember in my actual CLAT exam, the bell was rung for 5 or 10 minutes before the test actually got over at 4. So the invigilator said that they are going to collect it at 3:55. So things like that are you are liable to face anxiety or nervousness during that situation. So if you can go for offline mock tests, because they will give you a real hand view, but of course NLTI's mock test series is also really great, of consisting of diverse mocks, and the mocks should have good quality explanations for them to be beneficial. So if your mock scores have stagnated, either you are missing out one or two sections. For example, it happened a lot of times that I would not be able to complete one caselet of quantitative aptitudes, let's say, because like usually I would also advise this to everyone, not to keep quantitative aptitude in the initial start. Like for example, a lot of people will mess up their paper keeping quants ahead of something more important, because it is a section that is really mark fetching. Once you have completed the questions, once you have picked the options, you know that's going to be right. But don't get confused in the question and then miss out on everything else. So time management is perhaps a factor behind stagnation of mock scores. Apart from that, pay attention to each and every section and just keep on honing your skills, and it will gradually be reflected in your scores later on.
Right. Coming to time management, Ashutosh, so what was your like time division for each mock? Also, a combined question. Did you spend like 2-3 minutes before starting the mock just to figuring out what the paper is like, a bird's eye overview of the paper? Like a lot of toppers tell everyone that they spent like initial 2-3 minutes just going through the paper, figuring out what type of GK it is, what type of QT it is. Did you also do that? And if yes, how did you manage your time ultimately?
No, I find the prospect of going through the entire question paper a bit overwhelming. Like even in my science stream question papers, of course you get 15 minutes extra, so you have to go through the questions. But I think if you find it beneficial in your preparation, you should stick with it. But a lot of times what happens is that you spot one GK passage that you do not know much about, and it stays in your mind and it messes up your level of confidence while attempting the other sections. I used to pick up English first. After the reduction in the number of questions, it usually had around 24 to 25 questions. So I used to devote half an hour to it. So 30 minutes for English, and then I would head on to logical reasoning, because logical reasoning and English were sections that I started to do really well in towards the end. So I like to do them back to back. Some people may face the problem that it's too much information going into the heads, but I found logical and English easier than legal, because legal tired my mind out faster than others. So I did not do legal in the starting. So I used to give 30 minutes to English and 30 minutes to logical, and I would also keep looking at my watch to ensure that within 1 hour I had completed English, logical, and perhaps preferably GK, because GK usually takes 10 minutes, not take more than that. Sometimes it takes a lot of time for GK because you are figuring out which option to guess. Perhaps you do not know the exact answer and are confused between two options. And staying on the safe side, in the actual CLAT exam, I would highly suggest against guessing, because this year even 0.25 resulted in a difference of like 50 ranks. So it would really mess up your ranks if you do that. Especially for GK. I'm not telling about other sections, but because inevitably you will not be sure about a few questions in the other sections. Then in this 1 hour, I have finished 20 to 25 to 30 minutes English, 25 minutes logical, and preferably I do GK really fast. And in 1 hour, I've finished these 3 sections. The next, I devoted a lot of time for legal, because it took a lot of time for me. And personally, I had to really understand the passage before I could choose which option was right. So 40 minutes or so I would give to legal, and I would try to finish quantitative aptitude in the rest of the 20 minutes. Initially, quantitative is going to take more than that, because I think there are 15 questions, or sorry, 12 questions are being asked nowadays. So 12 questions, you will take 20 minutes easily initially. And as you practice more and more, you will be able to cut down on your time, the speed of your calculations will increase, and you'll be able to manage it within the time. And add the factor of OMR bubbling into your time, because OMR does take some time. You have to be really focused on which option you're doing, because one silly mistake can ruin the whole paper.
Right. There's a question again in the chat box. Anmol, I think we have already addressed this. CLAT in 7 months is more than possible. We'll share the recording. If you missed out on something, please feel free to go back and listen to Ashutosh's words regarding this question. Which city and school were you in? I think you didn't mention the school, but I am not sure why this is relevant at this point. But sure, Ashutosh, go ahead and answer if you are comfortable.
I'm from Bhubaneswar, and I used to study in a local school. It's a Vaxi Jagamundra English medium school. I had PCM streams, so school had literally nothing to do with CLAT prep.
And did you give ALET too?
Yeah, I appeared for ALET. I actually cleared ALET as well. I had a rank of 34 in it. So I had the choice of going between going to NLU Delhi and Bangalore, and I chose Bangalore at the end.
Also, there's another question. Should we keep QT at last or in middle? Again, I think you have addressed this, but just spend like another minute on this.
I personally kept it towards the last because this timer that is ticking meant that I was being faster in my calculations. Some people may find that something like anxiety provoking, so they do not prefer it. But I found that if I did not, if I kept it in the middle, I used to do the calculations slower than if I would kept it in the last. Actually, I alternated between some things. Like for example, the first 1 hour, English, critical reasoning, and GK done. The second hour, I would devote to legal and maths. After doing 3 passages of legal reasoning, if I felt that my mind was getting tired, I would switch over to quant and I would do one case let. In that way, you would ensure that you're not missing out one section completely. A lot of times, what people do is they will do legal reasoning completely and then they will head to quant, and then there will be only 5 minutes left and they will feel that pressure and they won't be able to do. So I did 2 or 3 passages of legal, then went to quant, so that my mind was given a little bit of rest, and I have been fast at maths a lot of since a long time. So I found calculations exciting to do, and I would do one case study and then revert back to legal, alternating between them.
Right. There's another question: how many hours should we devote per day? You already mentioned that it's not about the number of hours, but the number of targets that you set and achieve. But still, if you were to give a ballpark figure of this, like I think this is something that you should actually devote if you are really serious about
on your school days, a minimum of 4 to 5 hours is necessary, definitely, apart from your classes, because the 2 hours for perhaps a mock test someday, or like the passage of each section that you're doing, that's going to take 2 hours. Newspaper reading, so combining that, it's 4 or 5 hours. But this is of course left to you to curate your own timetable, keeping in view the disruptions you may face. On Sundays, you will have extra time for a mock test. On some days, you may skip school. So it's completely up to you.
Yeah. Also, just a caveat, Ashutosh wasn't enrolled in a coaching per se. So the time that he has mentioned, 4 to 5 hours, is I think excluding the classes that coachings take. So if you are enrolled in a coaching and there are daily regular sessions for your coaching institute, I think like 2 to 3 hours would go just into watching and attending those lectures, and you will be left with no time for self-practice, which is, I think, integral for your CLAT preparation. So take whatever Ashutosh is saying with a pinch of salt and see if it's working for you, then great. If it's not working for you, you don't have to follow any advice blindly. This is something that I tell everyone. Even if I am telling you something, don't follow it blindly. If any other topper is telling you something, don't follow it blindly. Stick. You can obviously explore and try keeping QT at last, or try changing between legal and QT. If it works, great. If it does not, just don't follow it because Ashutosh or me, they have like
your strategy needs to be personalized.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. What was the number of attempts in CLAT 2024? Ashutosh?
I attempted all questions except 2, I guess. There was this really silly question about what was the full name of General Dyer, and I thought I should go for Edward, but I did not want to lose negative marks in a guess, so I skipped 2 questions, and 2 questions were also dropped in our paper actually. So the full mark came down to be 118. So I skipped 2 questions, and one of the questions that I skipped was also dropped. So I got 103.5 out.
Also, Ashutosh, you previously mentioned that guessing is something that you suggest against during CLAT, like when on the D day, that you should not take a lot of guesses during GK in GK section while you're attempting your final paper. And right now, you said that you attempted all but 1 or 2. So, did you know all the questions in GK, or did you take calculated guesses, or it was intelligent guessing that you followed, that you ended up attempting a lot of questions?
CLAT 2024 was really unconventional. The 80% of the GK questions were not based on your knowledge. They were things that were already given in the passage. So it was mostly like English. And I am not sure if that's going to be repeated this year, because there was a lot of blowback from students that this did not actually test the kids on fair basis, because a lot of accusations were hurled that people who had not learned about current affairs a bit were also able to perform really well, because there was this passage about B.R. Ambedkar and it would ask about what is social justice from the options you have to just choose. So this was different in my case, because I was able to mark most of the questions because they were not testing my knowledge in GK. Most of the questions were like English. So I skipped only 2. but according to your comfort, and you need to ensure that you actually are confident that your answer is right, and then you can go ahead. Because I did one question wrong in GK as well. It was about G20, which is obviously a really common topic, but I messed up as a silly mistake. So it matters definitely. Perhaps if I had not messed that up, I would be rank 1 now. Who knows? So you need to take guesses in
Yeah,
GK especially seriously.
right. Ashutosh, is there something that you think that you could have done better during your CLAT prep, and that is the difference between you and rank one? Like, I know it's a very normative question, doesn't make sense, but students like look up to these type of questions, that what you could have done better to get that all India rank one.
The first regret I had was not choosing humanities stream. I felt that if I had chosen a different stream, I would have had comparatively a lot more time on my hands to devote to something, the thing that I found important. Because PCM subjects were challenging for me, I did not realize that they would be that challenging for me. Because till class 10, you find your school easy, and I used to ace everything with relatively less amount of efforts. But in 11th, 12, you have to put in a lot of efforts for school as well. Apart from that, I think one more regret would be that I perhaps did not take the GK portion as seriously as I should have initially, and that did not affect my preparation in the exams results per se, but it definitely meant that I had to put in a lot more effort towards the end. Like in the November or December month, in the November and October month, I had to make a
Yeah,
lot of extra notes, which I could have avoided if I had done it earlier. So that puts some stress on you, and you have to learn them as well. So I would pick up one category of GK one day and then try to mug up all the information. So if you have someone,
yeah,
a friend or the classmate, you can ensure the preparation of GK starts from the beginning, and that you're quizzing yourself among each other. I remember watching a video of Air 4 and Air 10 perhaps 2-3 years ago. Nidhi Agarwal, she's perhaps in NLSIU. She was
yeah,
from
yeah.
around. So I used to watch the video, and I realized that they were study buddies, and they had a really great sense of compatibility between each other, and they were able to enhance each other's preparation through that way. So if you have your friends, definitely go for discussions, and productive ones, hopefully, in
Yeah.
this case.
Right. For everyone's information, NLTI also provides you with study buddy groups. So if you enroll with us, you'll be put into study buddy groups with the like-minded individuals who are scoring similar to you in mocks, who are also as serious as you for CLAT preparation. Each study buddy group is also mentored by two NLSIU mentors. So there will be two mentors who are there for 24/7 doubt clearing. You have any particular doubt in any specific mock question or any strategic doubt, anything, they are there for you. There are weekly live sessions. There are daily doubt clearing via Telegram chat. So study buddy groups plus NLSIU mentors is all that you can ask for during a CLAT prep. Ashutosh, coming, like, we'll just wrap up now. What are your plans for the next 2 months before you join NLSIU?
I've been exploring and toying with the possibility of finding some kind of uh, uh, sources of internship for myself. I think that's something that is a few months ahead, but I like to
Hmm.
plan in ahead. And since I don't have much to do with myself right now, I think I'll be exploring the various streams and the choices that I have in front of me. And I'll be trying to get in touch with a few seniors about the Aditya Birla scholarship, what happens in that. I was really excited about the fact that I got an Air 10 more than the fact that I got into NLSIU, because by the end I was kind of sure that I would
Right.
get into US, but I was more apprehensive that I needed to be in the top 20 to be eligible for Aditya Birla scholarship, which is a prestigious one. So I would explore that, and perhaps think about writing a few articles, because you need to get into this uh, set style of writing things and getting involved in a lot of materials. I
Yeah.
kept up a schedule for myself even now, because after a point of time, movies and series gets boring, and I did not find much of interesting stuff to read as in novels as well. So I've been exploring these books related to law, sociology, history, political science, which I find interesting as well.
If you don't know it yet, even I am an Aditya Birla scholar. So feel free to reach out to me if you need any help or guidance with respect to CV and interview.
Sure.
So also there's another course that NLSIU is launching, Foundations of Legal Education. I think FLE course that they call it. If you can afford, you can definitely look it up. They introduce you to legal like readings and essay writing and all this stuff, that are cool stuff that you'll ultimately you'll ultimately have to do when you join NLSIU. So this is a preliminary introduction to that. One of the faculty is the Vice Chancellor himself, Sudhir Krishnaswamy, and all great faculties take this course. So if you're interested, or if anyone else is interested in this course, you can look it up on the NLS website and consider enrolling for it. One last question, एक last ज्ञान जो तुम देना चाहते हो, like to all the CLAT aspirants, do this thing, you'll clear CLAT. If you don't do this thing, if you don't do this particular thing, it might be a little difficult for you.
So one big thing that everyone should follow is that they should keep themselves motivated, because CLAT journey and preparation is a process that requires you to stick to a particular schedule and keep yourself accountable. Is the CLAT practice exam, and the more you practice, the better your speed is, the better you're able to comprehend diverse passages, and the more beneficial it's going to be for you. So
I think I lost you. If
yeah,
I don't know if my internet. Yeah, I can hear you, but I think video is stuck.
Yeah, so I was talking about the fact that you need to keep yourself motivated throughout the journey, because CLAT is based on practice, as much practice as you can. And so
Right.
CLAT requires you to have a lot of patience with yourself on days that you're feeling low. Try to enjoy some days, because they are bound to be less productive than others. Do not be too harsh on yourself after a single bad mock. But keep yourself accountable and ensure that you're doing a minimum level of preparation throughout the journey, so that's not going to be as hard towards the end. So all the best, and I hope you stick
Yeah.
to your schedule and do your best of efforts and reach the school.
Yeah, there's something that a lot of students or a lot of CLAT toppers will tell you, that CLAT is not a sprint but a marathon. There will be a lot of ups and downs. There will be times when you get bored. You'll not feel like giving a mock, doing a sectional, or reading newspapers. But you need to understand that CLAT is not something that you'll do 5 sectional today, or you'll give 5 marks today, and tomorrow you are fully prepared to appear for like CLAT ultimate D-Day. So it's a slow, gradual process that you should enjoy. You should be motivated, as Ashutosh said. Obviously, there will be times when you get bored, but coming out of that boredom because of the motivation that you want to be in the best law school of the country is something that should drive you continuously and take you forward in your CLAT preparation. So with this, I thank you, Ashutosh, for joining in. Thank you for taking out your precious time, and we look forward to having you another time at the NLTI platform.
Thank you so much for having me. I was glad.
Right. Thank you. If anyone has any doubts regarding the NLTI mentorship course, you can feel free to ask me. I'll be here for another 2 minutes. Let me know if you have any doubts regarding enrollment or what do we have to offer. Right. I don't think there are any questions. So we'll wrap it up. Thank you again, Ashutosh. Thank you everyone for joining in. Have a very good night. Is there a question, Anmol? You can unmute yourself if you are comfortable. I am already enrolled in law prep. So, Anmol, there is no bar in enrolling with us. Ultimately, if 200 students join us, around 190 of them are already enrolled in coachings. We are not a substitute to any coaching in any manner. We are always a supplement that boost your CLAT preparation. There will be times when you feel that you are not being heard in your coaching, or there are like 200 of students who are there, but your doubts are not being resolved because you have just become one of those 200 students. So, but in NLTI, what we do is we put you in very dedicated small groups. Each mentor will only have around 30 mentees. 30 mentees will be divided into 4 study groups. So let's say there will be 4 study groups. Which will have 8 study buddies, and these 8 study buddies will be mentored by 2 NLSIU students. There will be one mentor who will specifically clear all your doubts via Telegram text. You have any question in mock, you are not able to understand the reasoning, you are not able to understand what an assumption is, or why the answer is C, if the answer is C. All these things are clarified by your mentor over text. and every week there is a live session by another mentor who will keep you accountable what all you did in the previous week, and will also help you create a timetable for the upcoming week. This is important because CLAT preparation is a long, gradual process, as I already talked about. There will be times when you won't feel like doing anything, but when you have that thing in the back of your mind that ultimately a mentor will come live for me, to mentor me, to guide me, and will ask me what all did I do in the previous week. So you'll be accountable. There will be daily checks on you whether you did this thing. They'll also help you create personalized timetables and schedules according to what you where you are right now and what your goals are. First, so everything is provided in the mentorship course offered by NLTI. You'll also have test series. The test series has 50 CLAT mocks, 10 OLET mocks, 10 ALET mocks, and 100 sectionals. You don't need to go anywhere else if you are enrolled with NLTI. Your material, your mentorship, your guidance, everything is there under one roof. The price right now is 10,000 rupees till CLAT 2025, but you can feel free to reach out to me and we'll offer discount on case to case basis. We want to make this program as accessible as possible for everyone, because ultimately, even during my CLAT prep, I craved something of this sort. That's why we have started this. I am sharing my Telegram ID in the chat box. You can reach out to me at Anish1507. Just a minute. Let me share my Telegram ID. Yeah, my ID is Anish_1507 on Telegram. You alternatively also text on @NLTI support on Telegram. Our team will reach out to you and offer you the best possible courses and the best possible price that we have to offer. If you want a glimpse of our upcoming website, I'll be happy to give you, because this is a website that will be, just a minute, let me open it. This is the upcoming website. I'll not share any more details because this is a surprise for you all. But just know that this is a completely AI-driven website. Your mock analysis will be top-notch. You'll be able to understand which question you got wrong and why did you get wrong, and how many students got that question wrong, how many easy answers you got wrong, how many difficult answers you got wrong, and how many difficult answers you got right. Everything is there on this new website that will be launching in the next couple of days. So stay tuned, and I promise you'll have a lot of fun if you enroll with NLTI. So that's it from today's session. Thank you so much for joining in and showing interest in enrolling in our program. Thank you again. Good night.